Hello, welcome to the Casual Wrestling Fan YouTube channel, something that I've wanted to put together for a good few years. I got back into wrestling across the last few years, mainly AEW stuff, but I do keep up with WWE as much as I can as well. And I was lucky enough to be on the What Culture Wrestling podcast, alongside Adam Wilborn, Andy Murray, the Dadleys, Michael Hamflett, Michael Sidgwick, who are all absolutely incredible. But whenever there was a slot freed up on the podcast, they would let me hop on there, and I absolutely loved it. There's nothing I like more than blabbering about something I enjoy. And having watched so much wrestling across the last few years, more than I ever did when I was younger, I realized that I fit into the general bracket of a casual wrestling fan. Now, I remember Michael Sidgwick using that term when I was on the podcast, and I thought, well, yeah, I'm not, keeping up with as much stuff as the IWC online. I'm not looking into, contracts and what's going to happen and trying to, I just watch them like a TV show. I'm watching it week to week. I'm looking at characters and storylines. I'm trying to predict stuff. And I'm just enjoying the week-to-week shows. Now, I started getting really good feedback from those podcasts across the last few years, and people reaching out going, hey, what do you think of this? Are you going to be on the show more? Are you going to do your own wrestling show? And so once I broke away from What Culture and I stopped being What Culture's head of gaming, I launched the Patreon, which is linked in the description below. I'm launching that thing with a gaming pillar and a wrestling pillar. The gaming stuff is called the Just Good Game Show, which is an overall community-fueled, big old meaty podcast that also includes a news show in the middle of it, but has all sorts of in-depth discussions and, highlights different deals of the week, money-saving tips, things that you should know going into, your week, your weekend in regards to gaming. And then on the wrestling side, I wanted to do Casual Wrestling Fan as a YouTube channel where I can weigh in on as many talking points as possible, all the different things that are happening in the world of wrestling, mainly skewing towards storylines of what might happen next, but also talk about, spots of the week, big deals, things that are just worth talking about that we all wouldn't talk about if we were hanging out in person anyway. I wanted to do that stuff in video form, and then I also wanted to have a wrestling podcast called the Title Banter Podcast, which if you're a fan of What Culture Gaming, you probably already know about the Untitled Banter Podcast, which will still be continuing over on What Culture, but for 5 years or however long it's been since me and Jules launched it in the middle of the pandemic, that has been a fan-fueled podcast where people send in their questions and talking points, and we get through as many as we can every Friday. I thought, why not do a wrestling version of that? Because over the last few years, I started getting wrestling questions on the podcast anyway, and I thought, well, why not split that out? We can do the Title Banter Podcast over on the Patreon for that stuff. It'll be available early if you're a pledge or a subscriber over on the Patreon, and then it'll be on the free feeds a good few days later. But I still wanted to do those discussions overall. I still wanted to have all that interactivity with the community, have all those different submitted talking points. What do you guys think is, entertaining and exciting in the world of wrestling? And let's just celebrate all that stuff. So combined, we have the Casual Wrestling Fan YouTube channel, which hopefully you're watching this video on. I'll also be putting this out on the Patreon, so you can get an idea of it over there as well. And then you can subscribe to the Title Banter Podcast. You can get it early, and you can take part in the community if you want to pledge over on Patreon, or you can just wait it out and get access to the free feed version, which will be available a good few days later. So combined, we're going to have a lot of fun. I just want an excuse to talk about wrestling stuff, and why not? There are more things happening in the world of wrestling than ever, and I can't wait to get involved.